Okay, so, anyways, part two. I told them to go get a light. They were like, but you have to come in. And I was like, okay, well, I'll tell you what. If I really actually did something wrong, why don't you take the appropriate action? I'm like, what are you talking about? Well, file a lawsuit. Send me a subpoena. Call the police. File charges. Otherwise, leave me alone. Oh, they tried and tried and tried, and then wrote this rambling, like, a 6-page thing that I put up on Facebook. And I shouldn't have wrote at that point because I was still really heated. And began, I was almost 50. I began to reevaluate my life because I decided I was done with the college. Done with this whole woke thing. I was done arguing with people. I was done trying to, entertain this whole thing about this neo-Marxist, fascist, vigilante justice, cancel culture. Like, oh, we're going to come and put you with the pitchforks and because you're Frankenstein's monster. Right? I was done with it completely, utterly. Just like I am now. I won't argue with you. I won't rationalize with you. I'm just going to tell you I'm a United States veteran and to get away from me with your communism. That maybe Comrade Putin will take you and Mother Russia. Because that's what it is. It's Marxism. If you're a fan of Marxism, good luck for you because we've seen how it works around the world with that crap. And you want to talk about misogyny. You want to talk about privilege. He was some German dude that sat around, drinking and writing his manifesto about how unfair life was and didn't even lift a finger to help his wife take care of his children and everything else. He's just some angry drunk dude that felt that the world should give him everything and owe him everything that somebody else had. Sound familiar? Anyways, so back to Dave Chappelle, right? I know I meandered a little bit, but I was setting the background for where I'm at right now. Okay, let me finish that. So, the whole time I had MCTC, only like 2 or 3 openly LGBT people ever came and took my classes, and the ones that did really loved me, right? But considering that I really wanted to provide that kind of environment for people, nobody came. They all talked shit about me, talked about what a horrible hero person I was, and blah blah blah, and and the ones that did loved me. People said I was racist, but almost all my students were black. And they loved me. Right? Go figure, right? So anyways, back to Dave Chappelle. I think that y'all need to get a grip. Get a sense of humor. You don't like Dave Chappelle? Don't watch him. All the stuff I've seen in the media so far is they skip over that whole how the gatekeeping and the dragging people through media and cancel culture and everything probably caused that woman Daphne to commit suicide. The inhuman cruelty of people that believe they have a right to punish other people for their opinions. You know what? I hang out with more people that are not white than I hang out with white people. And you know why? Because when somebody acts racist, I tell them to please exit my life. Somebody's angry and yelling all the time, I tell them to please exit my life. And because I don't do anything that I can be fired from anymore or excluded from, really, because, on the internet, I don't violate anybody's terms of service agreements. I tell people to go fly a kite, and when I decided to transition this year, I decided to stay at home for the most part, and go out in public and, just live my life, like leisurely. And I go out in public a lot, and unlike what I was led to believe, I was led to believe that my transition was going to be really hard, that people were going to hate me, that people were going to beat me up, that I was going to be degraded, that, I was believed all these things, that I heard. And you want to know something? The worst hate I've got this year was from trans girls online. Yep. Trans girls. Because they're gatekeeping. And I don't do gatekeeping. And when people gatekeep me, I'm like, thank you, sweetie. You have a nice day. And keep your opinions to yourself from here on out, please. And I leave them alone. Which, of course, just infuriates people who are like that. It makes it worse. Because they're narcissistic and they're selfish and they have no emotional maturity. And they lash out at anybody who disagrees with them. At work, at church, in the bar, the shopping mall, the internet, they'll lash out at you. But you know where people don't lash out at you like that? It's in your face. Where there's no cameras. They got more sense than that. Because then they'd have to deal with their direct karma, which usually involves medical bills. When somebody's not right. And, I've had different transition. My body is feminizing. I've been on hormones for 7 months and I've captured my endocrine system. I have the estrogen and the testosterone levels of a cis woman. Because I did my research. And I got progesterone. And I got a high injectable level of estradiol sipping on it. Oh, and that got me dragged through Facebook. I was at a transgender veterans group. And the first response, I posted that, after, 7 months on hormones, that I had captured my endocrine system and that, my testosterone was at 16 and my estrogen was whatever it was. Well, I was still waiting for my estrogen result because the VA farms that out independently. And, the first lady was cool. She was like, yeah, when I first captured mine, my T dropped below normal average. And my doctor said, have some patience, let's do another test in a couple of weeks. And then it went back up into the average range. Every other person was one after the other, after the other, after the other, telling me how dangerous it was, I was unhealthy, I needed to seek help. Now, mind you, I got a whole team of professionals in the VA. I got a social worker, I got therapists, I got nurses, I got several doctors. I'm in the, tested regularly. I'm on PrEP. Have someone monitoring my hormone care. I got the whole shebang. The only thing I think I said is never big. The only thing I don't have at this point is a spiritual advisor because too many people are on some effery that I ain't even trying to get spiritual advice from most people. I handle that myself. But I've had a great year. In fact, you know what? I have had one of the best years of my life. I leave the house and I make 4 friends. You know what I'm saying? And I can't speak to being black and trans because I'm sure that that's probably a different experience than what I'm having. But as far as straight cis black men go, they're in my DMs all the time. you know. And I started experimenting with sex last year to make sure I could have sex as a bottom and a woman, you know, and not lose my mind and freak out because I thought, well, you know, why come out as a girl if I'm gonna top and have sex as a boy, you know? But that was just me. I know everybody's different. And for the last year and a half since I lost my virginity and my bottom, I have had more sex with more black men than I have with any other race of man. And I have straight black men in my DMs all the time hollering at me. You know. And in a year and a half of having sex, well, I've had some weirdos in my house that I didn't want back again. And I even had one guy one night that I got him an Uber and sent him on his way because he was just weird. He was just way too weird for me. Nobody has been violent. Nobody's tried to rape me. Nobody's raised their hand or their voice to me in anger or violence. Except for a homeless trans girl I tried to help, who told me I deserved to be trans. Because I was having too good of a time. That my whole existence was disrespectful and demeaning because people weren't traumatizing me. Let me say that again. I was told by a trans girl that my whole existence was demeaning because people were not making me suffer. As a person that was experiencing this, you know, desire to transition or decide if I was transitioning or whatever last year. Yelled and screamed at me every night in my apartment. So I finally locked her ass out and told her to go the fuck away. Now it's called a horrible human being for that shit. Right? So, you know, I've been watching Dave Chappelle for years, but, you know, he makes a lot of really good points. You know, like the baby could shoot and kill somebody, not hurt his career, but make, you know, say heinous stuff about gay people and take his living from him. You know, I watched another one, Flame Monroe, you know, was saying that Dave's hilarious. I watched another one that was like, yo, get a sense of humor. Like, seriously, man, that people have lost their minds. Like, you know, if you don't like something, turn it off. Change the channel. Don't support it. Boycott it. But really, demand that the whole world make someone suffer because you don't like what they're doing or saying sounds a lot like bullying, hatred, racism, sexism, misogyny, homophobia, all those things that you say are offensive. And that's exactly what that whole shtick sounds like. You know? It's exactly what it sounds like. You know? And I know my one eye looks really kind of weird, but it's because I was younger and boxing and fighting all the time in my life because of the population of peoples that I was around all the time and the kind of places I frequented growing up. I repeatedly got my ocular ridge hit and skin broke open and scarred, and it makes this big scar across here, and it causes my everything to sit differently on that side of my eye than it does on the other. So, you know, I know I'm looking kind of squinty. You know, look like I got that, almost like I got that Forrest Whitaker eye, right? Anyways, I'm one of the most hilarious people I know. You might not think so, but me, right? Anyway, so, you know, all this crazy stuff, man, you know, like, I don't understand it. You don't like Dave Chappelle? Don't watch him. You know? Don't watch him. You know? But, I don't know. As for me, all I got to say is, you know, like, I started this YouTube channel because most of the people I saw that were transitioning only started putting up videos when they fix their voice, they fix their face, they fix their teeth, they got a boob job, until they really transitioned and or were almost there, and then they started making stuff. I even saw a couple where they were like, oh, well, these people don't get to be trans because they're not like me, and I don't think so. Right? What the F? Right? Get a life, man. And Dave Chappelle's not going to bend his knee to you. Really. And you should have realized this back when he did Sticks and Stones, right? When he said he had learned his lesson and got the check in the bank up front. He can cancel him all he wants. He's a multi-millionaire. He's an American success story. He learned his lesson. It's comedy, folks. Quit acting like Trump and the alt-right. It's embarrassing. Quit gatekeeping. Quit bullying. Quit trying to define who gets to exist and who doesn't. Because that's where you realize they're not the centerpiece of your rights conversation. That everybody gets to exist. Everybody deserves to be protected to a certain level of human dignity. Everybody deserves freedom and expression. Practice what you preach. Hypocrisy is horrible. Or as they said on the East Coast when I was growing up in the 70s and the 80s, quit talking out both sides of your neck, homie. Right? Playing in dozens. A lot of y'all need it. But, I think Dave Chappelle's great. I laughed the whole way through that festival. I watched it 6 times in the last couple of weeks. And I didn't even know he released it. I was watching one of these content creators I like to watch on YouTube. And I watch everybody, even if I don't agree with them. Yeah, that's right. Even if I don't agree with you. And I don't hardly even comment. I think I've commented on 2 people's stuff in the last 10 months. Just to say that I really liked what they were doing. But this one, I'm not going to mention them, but by name, I kind of thought they were suspect. Everything was transphobic. Everything that they talked about. I mean, they talked about the sci-fi, all this stuff, right? Everything was transphobic, right? And we're going on about Dave Chappelle. I made it 2 minutes into their video, and I was like, hold up, this don't sound right. I gotta go watch this video. I went to Netflix and I watched it. I almost peed myself. I was laughing so hard because you know what? I would have been like Daphne. I would have been down there laughing in the front row at every joke. And I wouldn't have snuck out the back door either. I would have went and came and sat up front and continued to laugh, even if I had bombed it on stage. As a musician, I bombed it for years. I still do. Watch my guitar videos. I can't sing worth a damn, and I don't care. But I love to do it, so I do it. I'm pretty decent at guitar, though. For 10 months, everybody's ignored me on YouTube. I'm sure, though, that when I post this tonight, I'm sure that people are going to drag me. I'm sure I'm going to probably get lots of attention. And I really don't care. It's just all this gatekeeping. Oh, my point about I wander all the time, about the whole Facebook transgender veterans thing, was this one girl. Now I responded to all these comments the same. I was like, hey, thank you. I appreciate your concern, your opinion, but, I'm cool. I got a whole team. I'm good, right? This one girl that I responded to, it just wasn't enough for her. Now, I'm not into doxing, so, if you notice that when I'm talking about people, I don't say their names. I'm not revealing people's addresses or numbers or names or things like that. I'm talking about general situations, right? Was not enough for her. She come back, and it got worse. It was highly aggressive. Telling me how in danger I was, and I just kept saying, I shared some good news, and it's customary to congratulate somebody. And if you really had a problem with it, we were all in the military. We all went to leadership school unless you got the big chicken dinner before they sent you there, right? By the way, for you who don't know, big chicken dinner is Bravo, Charlie, Delta, for military speak, or bad conduct discharge, right? But in the military, they teach you leadership. Yeah, the military has leadership schools for commissioned and non-commissioned officers. For those of you who don't understand, non-commissioned officers are sergeants. Every variation of that going up the ladder, right? And one of the things they tell you is that the first time you have a problem with a troop, you wait till you're done with whatever you're doing, and you take them off in private and speak to them in private instead of embarrassing them. And having your go-to reaction be to embarrass and drag somebody and whatever. You take them into private and talk to them and advise them to change the way they're behaving, right? They also teach you that yelling, calling names, screaming at people, displaying anger all the time will just get you ignored and invalidate your authority as a leader. You have a whole toolbox of tools as leaders, or, like even in civilian life as content creators, as public figures, politicians, whatever. You have a whole toolbox of tools that you can avail yourself with to make yourself more human, more approachable, and cause you to gain people's respect. Instead of having your go-to response being anger, aggression, violence, hatred, shame, fear, all those things, right? But this woman escalated and escalated until she was cussing at me, calling me names, until finally I screenshotted the conversation, because I've learned on the internet, people will drag you into arguments and then they will erase their comments and report you and make you look like a crazy person, right? Even if you're just merely responding, even if you're not cussing or anything, it makes you look like you aggressively out of the blue started talking about sex or whatever, or blah, 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 or like almost like you were a stalker type person, right? And so I screenshotted the conversation first before I gave my warning. Then I reported her for harassing and bullying. And I told her that in all fairness that I was not going to block a transgender veteran on the Facebook. But I have reported her to Facebook for bullying me and harassing me. And that, I was a full disclosure kind of person, so I was going to be honest that she got in trouble, she knew where it came from. And that she could continue at her own risk. I got up later that day after sleeping. They had blocked me from the group to the point where I can't even search the group on Facebook. It was ridiculous. It was horrible. It went on for several hours before I finally reported her. Cussing at me, calling me a misogynist, accusing me of being angry when everything was like please and thank you and sweetie, and and then I got told I was mansplaining when I called her sweetie, but I called her sweetie because she was projecting onto me that I was angry and rageful because I asked her to please leave me alone and have a nice day and thank you for your opinion. Then I was in a rage, right? So then I called her sweetie to dumb my speech down and sweeten it up, make it obvious I was not angry. Then I got called a misogynist who was mansplaining. Hello. Not a boy anymore. Right. So, a lot of this stuff is ridiculous. Please leave people alone. If you don't like people, have some emotional maturity and leave them alone. Anyways, I'm gonna probably do some music tonight. Ooh, I got this new palette, this Birds of Paradise from Revolution, and I really like the colors, so I'm playing with the colors, and I'm kind of starting getting better at doing these wings and stuff, and you know, my makeup's getting better. I'm having trouble contouring my chin though, and I think I got. Anyways, my voice is gonna change in the next couple of weeks. Next couple of months, because I've actually started working on it now. I save my teeth and my voice for last. I start laser hair in a couple of weeks, and then I'm starting to work on my voice. And from what I read about the exercises and what I'm gonna follow as a program, I should start showing progress within the next 4 weeks, 3 weeks, month, whatever. So your girl's about to change her whole, but my body, everything's feminizing. I'm going to do an update video about that later. I know I went on for 25 minutes on this one and 15 on the first part. And people are going to lose their minds. But you know what? I don't care. You can't stop me. Did you hear that? You can't stop me. Your mom can't stop me. You don't have the power. Got 10 toes down, baby. I'm 5 by 5. Remember, love makes the world go round. And if you don't like me, it's okay. Because lots of people do like me. Peace.